Okay, we are now recording.
Okay, well, welcome everyone to this Walk with Ease training for program administrators. You see on this slide the content that we're going to go over. All of the content that is here is what the leaders get as well. They're in their leader's guide. We'll start off by giving an overview of the Walk with Ease program, talking about the goals, the target audience, the program components, and the format. Then we're going to talk about the program syllabus that the leaders follow. Now, I know many of you are quite familiar with the CDSMP program. The script or syllabus that we have for Walk with Ease is very much like the CDSMP script, where it lays out what to do step by step. We'll also discuss various program logistics that program administrators and leaders need to address. In addition, we'll discuss how administrators can help leaders with their teaching challenges and also with guiding participants to resources after Walk with Ease is ended. We'll also say a little bit about the Leader's Knowledge Self-Test, which is a tool that the leader and you, the administrators, can use to gauge mastery of the Walk with Ease program. Along the way, we'll reference various materials that are available to you. They're posted in that upper right-hand box over there where it says Files To. And these materials, we hope, will help inform your quality assurance and fidelity monitoring activities. Now, if you have any questions, please type them in the lower right-hand box in the bottom right of your screen. Now, if you prefer, though, to actually ask a question orally, please hold your questions to the end so we can be sure to get through this material. Okay, so starting with the overview of the Walk with Ease program. This information is in part 1 of the Leader's Guide. The 6 goals of the Walk with Ease program are to help participants gain an understanding of the basics about arthritis and the relationship between arthritis, exercise, and pain. They learn how to exercise safely and comfortably, and I can't stress it enough, this tagline of exercising safely and comfortably. You'll see as we go through what the leaders get in their training where the emphasis is on the safety and the comfort of the participants. Participants also learn how to use methods to make walking fun. They develop and implement a doable personal walking plan with realistic goals for improved fitness. Again, I want to reference back to the CDSMP program that I know many of you know. Just as those folks create action plans tailored to individual needs, it's the same thing in Walk with Ease. Participants also gain tips and strategies and resources to maintain a long-term exercise routine. The idea is after participating in Walk with Ease, people will incorporate walking as a routine part of their health activities. And finally, they learn about other programs and resources that can help them to keep their walking. The 4 key program components parallel the goals of the program. That is, participants gain an understanding of the basics of arthritis and the relationship between arthritis, exercise, and pain through the health information and health education components we're going to talk about. We call them the lecturettes. They learn how to exercise safely and comfortably through walking and through the exercise components. And they develop and implement a doable personal walking plan and gather tips and strategies and resources to maintain an exercise routine through the motivational component. I want to be clear here on who the target audience is. The primary target audience are adults who have arthritis, who want to incorporate walking as a routine activity in their lives. But adults who don't have arthritis may also find the program beneficial. We've certainly seen in programs like Walk with Ease, participants want to join and they have a buddy they want to walk with, or the buddy may be their source of transportation, but the buddy doesn't necessarily have arthritis, it's okay for that person to join anyway. I just remind you that the CDC grant is focusing on people with arthritis. The program was designed for a range of activity levels from adults who may be new to physical activity, that is, they have been pretty much sedentary, perhaps because of joint pain and stiffness, or they can be beginners in walking or other activity programs, all the way to those who may be feeling physically fit. The Walk with Ease program does require that participants be able to be on their feet for 10 minutes without increased pain. Now, being on their feet for 10 minutes may be things like doing household chores or shopping for social activities. Let's now turn to the logistics of the program. And again, this information is in Part 1 of the Leader's Guide and also in Part 3. Walk with Ease is a 6-week walking program where participants meet 3 times a week for 1 to 1.5 hours. Leaders can instruct the classes on their own or with another certified Walk with Ease leader. Using a team teaching approach, leaders can take turns with the program responsibilities and with guiding participants through the exercise and walking segments of the programs. As you can see here, Part 2 of the Leader's Guide contains the script for the leaders to follow, and I'll be getting to that in just a bit. Now, this chart is on page 9 of the 3rd edition of the Walk with Ease workbook. This chart provides an overview of the recommended schedule for the Walk with Ease program that includes when to do each of the program components, including when participants should read particular chapters, when certain activities should be completed, and when the self-test tools need to be filled out. Now, I just want to point out that this chart can also be very helpful to review with your self-directed participants to help guide them on how to read and use the workbook. Now, over on the far right-hand column, you'll see the header after the 6-week program. This section or this column lists activities that participants can continue to do after they complete the program. The discussion topics that instructors will be teaching follow the same order of the 6 chapters in the Walk with Ease workbook. For example, Session 1 of the Leader's Guide corresponds to Chapter 1 of the Walk with Ease workbook. I've been referencing the Leader's Guide. So here are the 7 components of the Leader's Guide. We'll be touching on all of these in the training. As I mentioned earlier, Part 1 of the guide provides an overview of the Walk with Ease program. This content includes why walking is good for people with arthritis and why the Walk with Ease program was created, how the Walk with Ease program works, how a typical session is organized, and what's expected of a Walk with Ease leader. We'll be talking more about the Walk with Ease leader responsibilities later on. Part 2 of the guide is the program syllabus. Here you'll find the step-by-step script on how to lead each of the 18 program sessions. Sessions include discussion, group activities, walking, and short lecturettes on various topics. It's indicated in the script when an instructor can paraphrase the information provided for a lecturette and then when they should state the information verbatim. Instructors are told not to add or delete any information from the script. There are also posters that accompany the lecturettes that will help instructors cover the main points of each topic. Now, each session is organized in the exact same way and includes the exact same following sections. The topic section states the subject area and the chapter of the participant workbook, and the session content that sorry. Let me try that again. Each topic section states the subject area and the chapter of the participant workbook that the session refers to. The objectives state what the participants should be able to do by the end of the session. Materials to use are outlined for the leader. The session at a glance is a condensed outline of the session, so the instructor gets kind of a shorthand view of the general idea of what he or she will be doing. And then the posters and handouts are in the back of each session. The key information that the instructor is supposed to cover is on the posters, and so the posters become very important. Now, up in the right-hand corner of your screen, we have a file. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, it's the bottom file. It says, Walk with Ease Posters. So we have put all of those posters in one file for you should you wish to start producing those posters for your leaders. The posters are intended to be put on 11 by 18 inch paper. This is so that the print will be large enough so the leader can hold up the poster as he or she is giving the lecturette, and so the participants can focus on that poster, focus on the content. Now this chart shows the order of a typical Walk with Ease program session with a general indication of the amount of time needed for each activity. The typical activities include pre-class socializing and attendance taking, then the welcome and announcements, then the introduction of the discussion topics, and then there's a 5-step walking pattern that includes the walking warm-up, the fit or the warm-up stretches, the fit walk duration, and fit stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type. Then the walking cool down, the cool down stretches. So those 5 things, those are together the 5-step walking pattern, and I will talk a little bit more about that. Then after walking is done, the instructor brings people back to the classroom to do any more final words, and then there can be after-class socializing. Depending on the physical capabilities of a particular group, the average session length may last as long as 50 minutes in the beginning weeks of the program, but it could increase to as much as 1.5 hours if the group improves their fitness level over the succeeding weeks, and they're available and the instructor is available to stay for an hour and a half. Now, so you need to keep in mind that the total time of the class can be flexible, so you need to be thinking about, particularly for the classroom, can it be available for as much as an hour and a half as the Walk with Ease sessions continue. Okay, this slide shows examples of lecturette topics. For each session, the instructor will lead these lecturettes, which are about 5 to 10 minutes. Throughout all the sessions, the script provides the text and also the posters, as I said before, to use to help cover the key points. Also, as we said earlier, there are posters that accompany the lecturettes, and the posters are intended to be imprinted on the 11 by 18 pages. If this is a problem for you, you don't have a printer that will print 11 by 18, then we suggest you just print it on 8.5 by 11 inch paper, and you can, instead of using a poster, you can just have handouts. Now you'll see down all of the various topics here, guidelines about the amount of walking for people with arthritis, which is at least 30 minutes of moderate physical activity, at least 5 times a week. So the idea is in class, people are walking 3 times a week, and the instructor would be guiding people to then walk 2 more times during the week at a minimum. Other lecturettes are about health considerations, facts about exercise and arthritis, how to use the diaries and assessments, some discussion about exercise principles, what to do if exercise hurts, and so on. You'll see down on the bottom of the list, I put 2 in red, the 5-step walking pattern and the stretching and strengthening exercises. I want to spend a bit more time talking about this because this comes back to that safety and comfort that we talked about. It also is important as program administrators concerned about quality assurance and fidelity that you feel comfortable that your leaders know how to lead the walking, know how to lead the 5-step walking pattern. So here again are the 5 steps of the 5-step walking pattern. The idea is that the leader will, in the first several sessions of the program, literally walk and demonstrate for participants the 5 steps, and that eventually the participants will become used to doing the 5-step walking pattern, and then they begin to instruct each other on how to do the 5-step walking pattern. The instructor is also encouraging participants to do the 5-step walking pattern on those days when they're walking on their own and not in class. So the warm-up runs about 3 to 5 minutes. It can be as simple as just walking slowly or marching in place. Then there are stretching exercises that we're going to get to that are done for about 4 or 5 minutes. Then there is the walking component, which you may, depending on the population you have, some folks may only be able to walk 5 minutes in the very beginning of the program, and they'll start working their way up to at least 30 minutes. The cool down is the same thing as the warm-up. It's either walking in place, marching in place for a few minutes, or walking slowly, and then followed by more stretching. So the instructors are taught about how to do the stretching. They demonstrate how to do it, and then they have the participants practicing how to do the stretching. Leaders are advised not to touch participants during the stretches. It's entirely possible that some participants have had joint or back surgery or knee or hip replacements. So if participants have any concern about whether they should or shouldn't do the exercises, they need to consult their healthcare provider, not to have the instructor make that decision. Also, if participants have any concern about their balance, they should be encouraged to do the stretches in the seated versions. If participants fall, the leader may not assist them in getting up. This is not to be cruel. This is to not cause additional injury or to cause injury. If participants fall, it's best to then call 911. If seating is, or the nurse on hand. If seating is not available at the site where the class is held, participants who have trouble with balance should not do the exercises at all. So as you can see here, as I said earlier, the safety is a major concern in this program. Leaders should urge participants who cannot do the stretching in the classroom to do it at home, provided their health care provider agrees that the stretching is appropriate. When they stretch, they should stretch gently and smoothly until they feel tension, and then hold that position. Don't do any bouncing for about 30 seconds. And then also they're not to hold their breath. The next slide shows some of the stretching exercises. These are all available in Appendix B of the workbook and also available on CD and online in the Arthritis Foundation website. Now, I just also would like to point out, if you can see here on the left-hand side, the chair the woman is holding on to. I put this particular sketch here on purpose. This chair is the type of chair that is recommended for the classroom when the leaders are offering the program. Notice that the chair doesn't have rungs on it, on the bottom under the seat. The reason for that is in some cases, in some of the stretching, they will be putting their foot under the chair, so you don't want to have a rung impeding their capability of doing that. Now, the strengthening exercises are also taught by the instructor, and the participants practice doing them, but they are not done in class. They are done at home. The leader should learn how to do these exercises so that he or she is comfortable doing them. Again, the same caveats for the safety apply, doing the exercises slowly. Participants shouldn't hold their breath. The 2-hour pain rule here is if you experience more pain 2 hours after exercising than you had before you started, you've overdone it. And again, leaders should remember not to touch participants. So I'm going through these caveats again. This is part of the fidelity and the quality assurance, making sure the leaders are comfortable leading stretching and strengthening exercises, and they know what to do and what not to do. Now, I'm going to move on to the walking progression chart. This is also in their leader's manual. You may find with some of the participants that you all are recruiting, some may only be able to walk 10 minutes the first week and gradually will build up. Others may be able to walk longer. There are directions in the leader's guide if you have a mixed bag of participants, some who are capable of walking longer distances or longer times than others, how to coordinate that. What we recommend is that participants add 5 minutes of walking each week until they reach the 30 to 40 minutes. But this is only a suggestion. Again, it is important to make sure that participants are walking at the pace that is appropriate for them. In other words, it is not a race. And we shouldn't be setting goals for participants to try to meet. They need to set their own goals. Now I want to move on to managing the program and talking over some of the things you and your leaders will be doing together. The first item pertains to the commitment of the leader to maintain program fidelity. There is a program fidelity tool that you can discuss with your leaders. We have it posted up there in the upper right-hand box. It's right above the posters file. You are basically working with them on their fidelity to the script and to doing the exercises, the stretching and the strengthening exercises appropriately and with all the safety caveats. Together you can decide when and where you want to hold sessions, and I'm going to say a little bit more about that in a minute. Different organizations have different expectations about how involved leaders are in the marketing and recruitment activities. This is something for you to work out with your leaders, what you think is reasonable expectations and responsibilities for them. Similarly, you may or may not decide to use incentives. As you know from our Walk with Ease, our CDC grant, we can allow using pedometers as incentives. That does not limit you. If you have other resources that you can provide other incentives, by all means do so. It's very important that your leaders know that they must collect the participant information form at the beginning of the program and then the post-program form at the end of the 6 weeks. Now, I wanted to come back onto the when and where to hold the sessions. Together with your leaders, you can select the group's meeting place and walking route. I've already talked about the length of time you would need a room. But in talking about walking routes, you may want to have people walk in malls, in senior centers, community centers, neighborhoods, churches, parks, senior centers, wherever you think it's good and convenient meeting place to hold the pre-walking discussions. And then we also need a place where there are restrooms. Other considerations when picking the meeting place are things like a room that isn't too noisy. We recommend, if you can, rooms that have doors. I know people have tried to carve out a corner in a large recreational room, and it turned out it was just too noisy. You want it to be so that your participants can hear the lecturettes and also engage in group discussion. Also, you need places for people who can sit, and a place where it's convenient to drive to and is accessible, has handicap parking. I know many of you are already doing programs, and this is kind of routine for you anyway. Particularly if people want to go for walking, they need to avoid busy streets and construction areas, icy areas in bad weather, cluttered areas. If they're meeting in an indoor site, the site needs to have liability insurance. Chapter 3 of the Walk with Ease workbook and Session 3 of the Leader's Guide contain helpful suggestions in picking walking routes and walking surfaces. The walking surface the leader chooses can greatly affect participants' joints and their balance. So whether the surface is firm and level or soft and inclined affects their exercise intensity and impact on their bodies and also their balance. So we recommend flat surfaces without loose gravel. Also, some walkers may need to make frequent stops to rest or to use a bathroom, so consider places to walk where people have benches or restrooms that they can get near to. Now, in terms of considering partnerships, as part of our CDC grant, we want to track ways that programs can be sustained beyond the one-year project period. Partnerships can help in a variety of ways to support ongoing programs. They can help with advertising and recruiting. They can help with sponsorship, offering staffing, perhaps offering resources to help pay for workbooks, offering space, and also donating items. There are other materials that you can use for marketing. These are all available on the Action Alliance's website, which is listed right up there, oaaction.unc.edu, and this is a short list of them. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just go to the Action Alliance website, go to the Community Partners section, and then go to the Marketing subsection in that. Now I want to say a word about managing programs and forms. The Leader's Guide does contain forms that the Arthritis Foundation uses, so listen up here. This might confuse things. We are not using the Arthritis Foundation forms. We are using our own forms because this project is being funded through the CDC, and they have asked us to collect certain information. So what we're showing on this slide are the forms we want you and your leaders to use. The participant information form, which is distributed at baseline, the post-program form, that is, in essence, a satisfaction form, and some tracking of any changes in people's walking habits and knowledge that they complete at the end of the program. The fidelity form is for your use with your leaders, and then any local forms you choose to use, like attendance logs and site forms. Another section of the Leader's Guide is the teaching tips. It's in part 4 of the Leader's Guide. It covers basically 6 areas: how to promote a positive learning environment, how to encourage and support participants, how to instill motivation, how to conduct the three-step problem-solving strategy, how to address common problems and how to solve them, and how to handle problem situations. Sometimes leaders have difficulty with their teaching, or more specifically with group dynamics. So you may wish to take a look at Section 4 of the Leader's Guide so you have a sense of what are recommended in these 6 areas so that you can help the leaders address any of the challenges they might be having. Now, another section in the Leader's Guide is about post-program strategies. Leaders are provided a series of strategies for participants to take charge of. The whole point here, similar to the CDSMP program, is we're aiming for people to learn to self-manage. Therefore, we are not looking to continue the program and have all the leader do all the work. The idea is that participants will start taking charge and responsibility of their ongoing walking behaviors. So the leader works with participants to encourage them to use their walking contract. In other words, they set a walking contract at the very beginning of the program, and then they set another one at the end of the program to say, after the program is ended, this is what I am going to be trying to do in terms of my ongoing walking. Leaders can encourage the group to consider formally meeting to stay in touch. The leader can suggest that the group set up a walking distance theme and hold celebrations when the group achieves certain milestones. One group that we know about that was meeting in a church decided that they were going to walk to Jerusalem. So they figured out on the map how many miles it would be from their church to go across the ocean to get to Jerusalem. And then they set up a chart and they converted. It's 2,000 steps per mile, so they figured out how many steps that would mean they would have to walk to get to Jerusalem. And then they created a group chart where they recorded each week the number of steps each of the members had walked, and then when they made it to the number of steps it would take to get to Jerusalem, they had a party to celebrate. So that's just one idea that makes it kind of fun. As an administrator, you may wish to have available a listing of other programs at your facility that you may want to encourage these participants to attend. There also are Arthritis Foundation resources about other programs that are available specific to arthritis, like the exercise program and the aquatics program and the Tai Chi program. So these are resources you may want to have available at the very end of the program. Part 7 of the Leader's Guide includes a post-training knowledge test that leaders can use to measure their mastery of the syllabus, the 18-session content. It's a self-test. They don't hand it in to anybody. One version of the self-test is just the questions. They fill in the answers. The other self-test actually has the answers included. As a program administrator, you may want to take a look at the test to get a better sense of the content the leader is expected to master. As part of your fidelity monitoring, you have the option of asking the leader if he or she has used the self-test, if there was anything on the self-test that they were struggling with, and if they're having any problems with mastering content. This is the last slide that I'm going to cover, and I wanted to make a few brief comments about the self-directed format of Walk with Ease. The participants in the self-directed version, like the group version, receive the Walk with Ease workbook. And if you recall, I mentioned page 9 in the workbook is the chart of the flow of the program. So as you distribute workbooks to people who enroll in self-directed version, you can point out that to them. They can do the reading of the workbook and the exercise, like the self-tests and the action planning and all of that, they can do that on their own. They can do the walking on their own. Or Arthritis Foundation is fine with doing a hybrid, wherein you may say, okay, you're going to do the program on your own in terms of reading the workbook, but we will have once a week, a couple of times a week, a walking group, and that's all we're going to do. We're just going to walk. Won't be any lecturettes, won't be doing any of the other stuff. We'll just be doing the walking. And if you do that, you may or may not want to have a second leader co-leading that walking. Again, particularly if you have people who have varying walking abilities, and to make sure everybody is safe. Another thought, I know many of you were only planning to do the classroom version of Walk with Ease, but as you know, life happens and people sign up, and over the course of 6 weeks may find for whatever reason they can't continue in the classroom version. You may want to, so to speak, roll them into self-directed if they would like to continue reading the workbook, following their action plans, and doing the walking. But for self-directed, just like the classroom, we do need you to have the participants complete the baseline information and also the post-program forms. So that's the end of what I had prepared. Why don't we open this up for questions?
And Mary, there's a couple questions here in the right-hand chat box. A comment from Nick saying that the Arthritis Foundation does not collect the forms that are currently in the Leader's Guide either. So, and then Brenna has a couple questions.
Okay. I'm not seeing them. Can you read them out loud? Oh, I
Sure.
see. Okay.
In the bottom right-hand corner.
Got it.
So her first question was, will we, the grantees, receive a leader's guide even if we ourselves don't get trained as a leader?
I'm going to throw that question to Nick. As far as I know, the only way you get a leader guide is if you sign up for the training, the leader training. Nick,
Correct.
can you?
I can. I think I can address this. So the leaders that are trained receive a downloadable leader manual. So the leaders under you could certainly print out the leader manual for them to have as a leader, but certainly for you to review as a supervisor of their activities. And so there is a workaround there.
Okay.
So did Beth. I actually was using Brenna's computer to ask the question. So are you saying, Nick, that you will provide it, or somehow you're giving Mary authority to send those of us who are grantees a copy of the Leader's Guide? Because Mary mentioned a couple of things in them at a couple points. And as we explained to, I think, Mary and Serena in a call last week or week before, we here at Wisconsin Institute for Healthy Aging are going to be recruiting and supporting some leaders, through our micro mini grants to them in becoming leaders. But none of us here in, our headquarters here are going to become leaders because we don't provide the workshops ourselves. But we'd like to be able to see what the people who are leaders have, and sometimes they may call us and say, well, I didn't, on page 15 when it says this or that, or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we would appreciate being able to receive a copy, get the downloadable with the clear understanding that we will not be photocopying and giving it out to anybody.
Sure. Yeah, so there is a sensitivity there about copyrighted materials and distribution. So I cannot send it out to you, but there is a way that certainly leaders that have paid for the training and the materials can pass it up to you.
Wink, wink. So somebody I know who gets trained, I talk to them?
Correct, because I have an official relationship with the vendor that provides the training, and I am not certainly to undercut their ability to sell the trainings. If they knew that I was giving out the leader materials, they would certainly frown upon that. But there is, like I said, a way for people that to pay to their neighbor could certainly see those materials. They are a PDF, so they're easily shareable. I believe you can make it work if you know what I mean.
Awkward, but we'll...
Well, also I'm thinking the leader's guide is, I don't know, maybe 150 pages and all, so I could certainly see that a leader could say, well, if I send you the file, can you print this for me?
Oh, yeah, there's a good idea, Mary.
There you go.
Right. So I will tell them that once they're done, if they just send it to us, we will print it for them because the printers and toner probably can't handle it.
In all curiosity, when I was doing the training of the leaders trial, I heartily recommended that they get a 3-ring binder and then use hole punched paper and put their leader's guide into the 3-ring binder. It makes it a lot easier, and all of you who have done CDSMP, I think you know what I'm talking about. It's a lot easier to be working with your script when you can take pages out of the workbook and just focus on that. Take pages out of the leader's guide. We actually recommend in the leader's training that each session is self-contained, so you just can pull out the session that you're going to be teaching, and you don't have to lug the whole leader's guide with you. You can just use the one session that you're going to be teaching.
Right, and similarly, the posters, we could, for example, like under this mini grant where I think we'll have at most 20 leaders or something like that, we could send to some copy shop, make the 11 by 18, and I don't know how we do mailers to mail them, but yeah. But anyway, we could roll them into something and mail them or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
All great questions. I see Brenna had a question about the actual check on leaders. When they take the leader training, at the end of it, on the online training, they do take a test online, and they have to successfully pass that test.
Okay.
So, but in the leader's guide, there is a self-test that is focused on the content of the sessions. The test that is in the online leader training includes things other than the script. It's a test of the overall mastery of understanding the program, but the self-test in the leader's guide is specific to the 18 sessions. So it's a quick way to get the general drift of what are the key points we're trying to get across in each of the 18 sessions.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Are there other here? I'm trying to scroll up. Leader's Guide. Other questions? Okay, then, if there aren't any, I think we will close this. Of course, we're going to be here, Nick and Serena and I, anytime you have any questions about administering this program, about working with your leaders, about any of the content in Walk with Ease, just pop us an email. We'll be happy to respond. Nick, did you have any comments you wanted to make?
I would just comment that I thank you all for doing this program, and then I do have some customizable flyers if those have not been distributed. I can send them. I think Mary has them. Also a press release. So if you need some additional marketing supplies, and then also we talked about the fact that if you have classes that are coming up in the community, I have a mechanism for promoting them on the Arthritis Resource Finder. So certainly passing that information on to me so I can quickly get it updated and posted. That all helps get more people out walking.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Nick, to follow up on your comment, I've gone back to the materials for marketing, and the last four, well, actually the last 5 bulleted ones are all ones you had sent us. These are all posted on the Action Alliance's website.
Perfect.
In the community partner section. Serena, did you have any comments you wanted to make?
Nope.
And Mary, this is Betsy again. Could you send us these slides that you use? That way we'll be able to like click open to, you know, all these items you have embedded in the PowerPoint right away?
Betsy, they're already up here on the upper right-hand box.
Okay.
And it says, let's see if I can get the pointer to work.
It's the top file, yep.
The very top, it says WWE training for, and the rest of it should be program administrators. It's a there you go. It's a 4 megabyte file, so it's already there for you. You can go right ahead right now. Click on that and just download it.
Okay. I'm not seeing it here, but we'll get there. Our top one says granting monthly data report.
We have reserved the Adobe Connect for the whole hour. We'll leave this up. You can be downloading the files for a while.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
All righty. Anybody else? Last-minute thoughts?
I was going to say, Betsy, this is Shannon. I've got all the files downloaded already, so I can share that with you.
Yeah, we'll put them all in our W drive, Shannon, and so that we all have access to them. That'd be awesome. Okay,
you guys are well done.
Okay, well, thank you so much for providing this. Really going to help us move forward with it. So we appreciate your putting this together so quickly for us.
Okay, our pleasure. Take care, everyone. And again, we'll leave the website up. We'll just end the audio portion.